Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 in Flux. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we talk about movies on this show, and we are still catching up in 2018 movies. This is an unplanned review. We both just happened to watch the same film over the last couple of days, and thought, why not record a review for it?
Yeah, we're sneaking this in. This is about as last minute as these get now.
It's last minute for us. For everyone watching this, it will be after our awards go out.
Yeah, for us, this is the night before.
Yes. So, yeah, but this is going to be Assassination Nation. We'll start spoiler free as we always do. We'll warn you in the middle before we go into spoilers. And what is Assassination Nation? It is a deeply satirical, kind of a black comedy thriller.
Action at points.
Action's a bit of a stretch.
I don't know. The back half kind of feels actiony.
Actiony, sure. I feel like hyper real satire is maybe the best thing to call it.
Yeah, it's probably.
It doesn't really tell you how it plays, admittedly, but that's how I describe it after seeing it.
It's Heather's turned up to 11.
But if Heather's was good.
Shut up. Well, you're giving away your thoughts there a little bit, aren't you?
Oh, I'm so sorry. The movie's not bad. What do you want from me?
You usually refuse to reveal that information this early.
Well, yeah, I make you say it first.
You
So,
do.
so I can then either...
But you already knew what my opinion on this.
I did, yes, you told me already. You told me before I even watched it.
Yeah.
So, Cara liked it as well, for the record.
I did, yeah, I liked it a lot.
So, yeah, I mean, and the plot essentially boils down to we're in the town of Salem, Massachusetts, which is important. I feel like thematically there's some stuff going on here that's why they're in Salem.
But yeah.
And then, so the plot's in there. It's a small town. I mean, it's Salem, but I mean, Salem's a relatively small town, I think.
It's treated as a small town.
In the movie, at least, yeah. So, and a hacker starts leaking some, people's private information and files and histories and things like that, starting with the mayor, then the principal, and then it sort of rolls from there. And the whole town kind of goes crazy as a result. And we have Lily, who's our main character, and her three friends, who are kind of at the centre of the whole thing. Not that they're behind it, they're not. It's very clear at the start that they're just kind of doing their own thing and almost not even giving a shit. They're just kind of wrapped into it as the movie goes on.
Because it ends up dragging in literally the whole town. So, of course,
Yeah.
they get sucked in as well.
Yeah, because at first they're just like another set of people who are giving their opinions on what's happening. And yeah, so it's very satirical. There's definitely moments and things that happen that are both unrealistic in how they happen, but at the same time feel very true and realistic in what they represent, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, I get you. Do you know one of the things that really impressed me early on, like really early on, is pretty much the opening was the trailer. About half of the main trailer that we got, because there was a few teasers beforehand, was just that opening
Monologue.
segment. Yeah, I didn't realize that was all just just there. I thought it was cut together for the trailer.
Yeah, there was one shot that stuck in my mind from the trailer that wasn't in that opening bit, and that was all I was waiting for all movie. But yeah, most of it was in that opening minute.
Which is kind of impressive. I'd never seen so much of a movie's trailer be the opening of the movie.
Joe, it's funny because it gave me this impression, and there are parts of the movie that are like this, where it's very all these quick cut montage kind of things. As Lily will be monologuing and it'll be doing all this very hyperactive kind of cutting around.
It's
and
so stylish,
very colourful. Lots of pulsing music playing kind of thing.
Yeah,
like it does that a lot, and the trailers were all like that, and it kind of made me come into this not even knowing like what is the pace of this movie, like to the point where when it got to some like normal scenes that just played out with two actors talking to each other for like a couple of minutes, I went, this is weird, this is so slow paced versus everything else.
and it wasn't actually slow paced. It was completely normal.
The fact that it's still fairly quickly paced, given most standards, it just feels so slow paced. And it's not to say that the pacing's bad. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that this movie gave this odd impression to me that it was all going to be this weird, hyperkinetic.
Because that's what every teaser and trailer was. Yeah.
There was never any like full things that felt like full scenes. They all felt like just short snippets from montages.
Yeah. I will say though, this delivered on the trailer. Like I got what I expected.
Yeah, more or less. I'd say that. Yeah.
I got the stylish, I got the cuts, I got the tone, the music. That was what I got from that trailer and thought, oh, this is what I hope this movie is. I got.
Yeah, and it's a satire that applies to, the whole world, but it is definitely deeply rooted in satirizing America specifically. There's
I
red,
think even more specifically, Trump's America.
yeah, there's red, white, and blue coloring and lighting and tinting everywhere.
Yeah.
Early on, there's a sequence at a party where there's like it's split in three, and like each one's tinted one of those colors. Like that's just how they're doing it.
It's not subtle, but it's not trying. It's satire. Satire is not subtle.
There is not a single subtle moment in this film. There is no subtext. It takes the subtext and rams it down your throat until you can't breathe anymore.
Yeah, but it does it with style, so it's fine.
I wasn't complaining, but I'm just saying this is not a film. This is not like a drama where you go in and you're looking for the subtext and you're finding meaning in things. No. This is a film where they're beating you over your head with a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire. That's what this movie is, and that's okay if that's if that's what it's going to be. And it kind of excels at that. I think especially in the second half. I think the first half I was enjoying it, but I was like, I don't know if I love this. And it was the second half, especially the more I've thought about it after I've seen it, because I don't know if I loved it when I finished watching it. Like I liked it, like I was into it, I was happy, but I think it's thinking about it over the next day where I've really liked the second half a lot.
I agree, because I quite liked the first half. I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. And then it's very much a film of two halves. There's a literal point where it goes, okay, second half time.
Yeah.
And then it jumps up a notch. Everything just goes to shit in the best possible way.
Yeah, it's kind of unrelenting. It does not pull any punches. It's it opens with this trigger warning kind of montage. I think that was in the trailer. It was like here's all these subjects that are kind of addressed in this.
Yeah.
And it's sure enough, I mean, I didn't remember all of them. I don't think off the top of my head, but everyone I remembered from that list definitely popped up throughout the film.
Yeah, because they were all each word as they came up was accompanied by a still image.
Yeah, of a later scene. Yeah.
Of something that happens later in the movie, and obviously nothing that you can go, oh, that's going to happen, because it's going so fast through.
Yeah. It's just very quick and I think what's interesting here is that I wouldn't say even our heroes, if you want to call them that, are even that likable. At least not at first, right? Everyone is kind of. I'm looking for the right word, because they're not annoying, because if it was annoying it'd be hard to watch. It's not that they're annoying.
They're a little bit awful.
They're kind of awful. It's kind of get that Spring Breakers kind of thing going a little bit.
Yeah.
Where they're very kind of vapid and shallow, and they technically...
It's kind of like Always Sunny.
Kind of, they tackle like serious subjects, but their comments on them tend to boil down to these really inane teenage kind of attitudes and that kind of thing. And I think one of the things that the film does really well is that by the end of the movie, when they're kind of being hunted, and that is as far as I'm going to go with plot, and that's not even a spoiler, because the opening monologue of the film, the main character says, I don't know if me and my friends are going to live through the night. Like, it sets that up right at the start.
Yeah.
Like, by the time it gets to that point, it's not so much that they get more likable, the film somehow manages...
Just everyone else gets worse.
Well, it's not so much that, no, I think there's more to it than that. I think that's boiling it down too simple. But the film makes its point, and it makes the point in a way that actually makes sense for the message that it's portraying. And I can't really talk about it till I get to spoilers, but I want to say that the film, despite the fact that it's so unsubtle and it's lacking subtext, it's actually quite smart, because this film could very easily... just like with one like measurement, like let's say like a film, it's not, but let's say a movie is based on like an astronaut launch, right, or like a spaceship launch, where it's all this like complex math, it's all these equations to get them to the moon, right? And if one thing is slightly out, they're all going to die. This movie's like that. If just one thing was slightly off in terms of its tone, in terms of its characters, in terms of how it portrays what it's doing, the entire thing would probably fall apart and crumble.
It probably would, yeah.
It's kind of like that.
So much credit to the director on this one.
Yeah, director whose name, I think he was also the writer as well, yeah. Sam Levinson, who wrote and directed the film.
Excellent work.
Yes.
Because without, strong direction, this becomes a unwatchable mess.
Yes. I'm just saying, the only other thing that he has directed is a film called Another Happy Day from 2011, so a bit of a gap in there between the two.
Yeah.
What's Another Happy Day?
I have no idea.
Ezra Miller's in there.
That's not a great sign.
At a wedding at her parents' Annapolis estate hurls high-strung lint into the center of a touchy family dynamics, and it's a comedy drama.
It sounds nothing like this.
I mean, I'll watch the trailer to see if the tone's anything different from what it sounds like, but yeah, that. Even from the poster, you get this sense that it's like, these young girls who are dressed fairly sexy, holding guns, kind of like, it's got this kind of attitude to it where it's like, it's meant to be provocative. It's meant to be like, no, this is supposed to be things that don't mix necessarily.
The tagline of this movie is "You asked for it, America." That's the tagline on the poster.
Again, not subtle. Not subtle.
It's not at all. But I kind of love just the brazenness of it.
Yes. So I mean, what is it tackling? Obviously, social media, because it's social media records that are leaked for the most part, plays a big role in it. But the director himself said when asked, and I actually, even before I saw this quote, I was thinking this, that social media in this film is not the problem. Social media is not the issue at all. It's how people react to things, not even specifically on social media. Like, I think here you could almost take this film as like, the reason why eventually there's people wearing masks is because that's like online avatars. They're not really themselves anymore. They're hiding behind the anonymity, right? Yep. And things like that. Like, I think you could almost take it and say, no, this movie is about an internet message board. This is what this is, right? And to an extent, or it's social media as a whole, you could. But I don't think the film is critiquing social media. Social media is just a thing that's a tool. It's just there. It's
critiquing the people.
Yes, it's critiquing the people and how they react. And I think specifically a lack of empathy and no one actually trying to understand things. I think the big theme that was coming across to me in this film as I was watching it was the idea that once the public consciousness has made up their mind and labelled you something, that is your label and you're never escaping from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it goes without saying it is a huge feminist messessage in this movie.
I mean, obviously this is feminist, this is part of feminism, but I would go far to say it's about, and maybe this is a stupid distinction, but I'd go as far to say it's more about battling misogyny. And I know that's essentially what feminism is, but I'm saying that...
Okay, it's more anti-patriarchy than pro-feminism.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's a fine line.
I know what you're getting at.
Yeah,
because it very much is that. But if you say it's feminine, it's close enough.
Yeah, because the characters who fight back, in a sense, if you want to call it that, they don't do it because they're necessarily talking about these things beforehand. They do it because they're pushed back into a corner, and fight back from there. It's it's just, again, I think spoiler discussion is going to let us go deeper into this, but it is. Yeah, I mean, I mean, it was good. We'll go to spoilers.
I can't believe I had so much fun with this movie. Despite it's all these things, it's got all these very serious messages, and it gets those across really well.
Mm-hmm.
But it has so much fun as well at the same time, even when it's being kind of horrific.
Yeah, because the thing is that it works as a movie, but when you stop and think about what each thing represents, and again, going back to what I said at the start of this, where it does these things that are hyper real and unrealistic, but at the same time are not that unrealistic. And again, I don't even know how to describe that, except I think you know what I mean, having seen the film.
Yeah, it takes it to these ridiculous extremes to make a point.
Yeah, but at the same time,
it's not. You can see the seed of it.
Yeah, but it's the same time though. If someone said to me, "No, this one thing actually happened here last year," or something like that, I'd be like, "Yeah, I can."
You're right. You can believe any one of these incidents happening individually.
Yes.
Obviously, all of them happening at once is like, okay, this is a movie now.
Yes.
But any one of these, you can believe.
Yeah, and there's some weird movie things where like a character will do something really extreme in a scene, and then there's like a time jump. And no one ever really addresses the fact that this thing happened. And I'm like, yeah, this is just a movie. I'll let that go because it's just being pure satire.
Yeah.
But, like, I'll just say a character essentially, like, hurts someone so bad that they're incapacitated. And it's almost like as if it never happened once there's a time jump. And it's not so much that it didn't happen, it's just that the movie's not concerned with dealing with that anymore because we've moved on.
Yeah, it's so impressive. The way it handles its two halves. The second half, right. I have never seen any of this franchise, but it feels like what I imagined The Purge should be if it was good.
give it to you. It's better than the Purge movies. No.
But in terms of what it's doing and the tension, the way it's playing it, it feels like that's what I want out of a Purge movie.
Now, to be fair, the Purge itself, it didn't do it well, but at least at points in its marketing, especially, and certainly the concept as a whole is meant to be a satire in and of itself.
Yes.
Now, the movie's not like that satirical, right? It uses it to a point, but it's mostly there to have a fun B movie. Is kind of what it's trying to do. So the comparisons are kind of fair. It's all, if anything, it's almost adding to the satire of this, that the back half reminds you of what the Purge is supposed to be, but it's using it in a way where it's like, hey, look, this, it would actually turn into the Purge if this happened. Like,
yeah,
like, you know, like
yeah.
they're making a point even in that by comparing itself to the Purge. It's making a point.
It is, yeah.
So. Yeah, so we'll give the spoiler warning so we can talk about it, because I feel like we really need to talk about.
I'm enjoying the more we say, the more I'm liking the movie.
Right, so the main character Lily, right? Early on, she's got a boyfriend and she's dating him. She's sexually active, yada yada yada. But she's texting someone called Daddy, right? And the only like grown man we've met or seen her interact with is like Joel McHale, who lives like across the street from her friend M's house. Yeah. And it's like he's probably that, especially since they cast Joel McHale.
Yeah, he's the only other adult outside of her parents.
Yeah, so she's texting someone called Daddy, and they're just sexting. She's sending like dirty photos. I didn't even get until later that she was avoiding her face in the photos. Like I didn't even realize she'd always been doing that.
Oh, did you not?
Nah, I just like I assume some of them have faces in it, whatever. But she's texting this clearly older person. And it's revealed, so far along the way that it's him. He's kind of watching her with her boyfriend in the window at one point. And, I mean, even that scene with her boyfriend, like the idea that he wouldn't go down on her, but until he's confronted about it, and then gets angry that he's been confronted about it, and she's like, well, what would you do if I never went down on you? It's like, well, I would talk to you about it. I guess one of the themes of the film is hypocrisy, and the idea that there's these double standards. And even though this sounds like a stupid thing to be arguing about just going down on each other, it kind of sets up the whole overall theme of the hypocrisy. So people are getting hacked. First, it's the mayor who shoots himself in front of everyone because there's photos of him and because he's been very anti-gay and he's messaging and his platform, and then it turns out he's actually gay secretly, and he kills himself in front of everyone. And then the principal, who we actually in the film does this thing where it lets us spend enough time with him, and specifically Lily. We see that she actually kind of likes talking to the principal. He's a decent guy. There's
a really smart scene where he's like, you can't hand this in. It's basically porn.
Yeah, because she does drawings of like naked people.
Yeah, and then she gives it this really eloquently, well thought out argument as to why it should be accepted for whatever the assignment was.
Yeah,
and he's like, do you know what? I respect that. That was pretty good. I can't really allow it because of reasons, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, because
he comes across pretty reasonable.
Yeah, he basically says, no, everything you just said there is valid, and in a year's time you're going to be going off to college and you're going to be in a more mature place where this kind of thing will be accepted for what you just said. But it's a high school, and he really emphasizes this is a high school. There's limits to what you can do for better or worse. There is limits to what you can do here.
But she's not in trouble for it. He's respecting what she's saying.
So then he's hacked, and because. In his hack, it's like, okay, so he said some things maybe in text to his wife, because there's a scene when he sits down with his wife and he's like, hey, I've been hacked, and we have to accept the fact that anything we've ever said to each other is going to be out there. And the thing that gets him in the most trouble, and this is where the theme of the movie really, really kicks in, because it's not so much that, like, because obviously the first guy, the mayor, obviously it's been disingenuous that he's been, very anti-gay, and then he turns out to be gay, but the act of him being gay itself is not a bad thing, at least for most sensible people.
It's not demonized. It's more just from him being the hypocrite that he was is demonized.
Yeah, I mean the reactions to it are extreme. Because he comes out to the crowd and they're all booing him, and we get a scene with his principal. It's in the same place. He comes out and they're all booing him again. But the principal kind of stands up for himself instead of going down that same path. But the thing that gets him in trouble most of all is that he had some photos of his daughter in a bath when she was about 6, and people take this and start labeling him a paedophile. And, Lily's parents are like, no, he's a child molester. Like, no, he shouldn't be at the school. He's a child molester. And she's like, it's his daughter.
Yeah, there was nothing. She's like, there's nothing sexual about it. It's just,
she's
it was a lovely family photo. They'll be in an album somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, most people have embarrassing photos of their kids when they're under like a certain age. in the bath or whatever. That's not that weird.
I feel like Kids in Baths is such a standard of a family album, right?
Yeah,
Like, it really is.
It's so strange.
The only difference here is that it's on someone's phone rather than tucked away in an album in a cupboard.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And it's like, well, why is that any different? And she argues with her parents, and her parents are not having it. Her parents are very conservative, clearly. They're just kind of shooting her down every possibility. And, you know, next, it's like, it ends up being half the town gets hacked, right? And it turns out, not her, Lily herself does not get hacked, interestingly, but McHale does. Joel McHale gets hacked. And the photos of her, you know, get spread around. And in fact, there's a scene of her when she finds out, but she's in the bathroom and she's
scanning through all of them, going, "Please tell me my face wasn't in any of these."
And she starts crying as she's looking through them. And I thought, this is an emotional scene. I did not expect an emotional scene in this movie. Everything was so, like, you know, pulpy and like violent. I didn't expect actual emotion, but fair enough, it kind of hit me. And she's kind of terrified that anyone's going to see it. And here's the thing: so her boyfriend recognizes some of the photos, and he gets two of his friends to pin her down.
Yeah, he recognizes a birthmark on her back.
Yeah, and lifts up her shirt to take a photo of her there, and then sort of post this online, say, "This is my girlfriend, this is her name," and like compare the photos and show everyone this is her to prove that she has it, because he feels betrayed. You know that his girlfriend's been doing this. And sure, betrayal makes sense. Getting your friends to pin her down like this, because this is the thing, when this comes out, her parents, you know, demand to know the truth. She admits that it's her, and they just immediately kick her out, right? At no point do you get a sense from the parents that they ever questioned how this second photo that was put up to prove that it was her was taken, that she was pinned down by three people.
And this is the ultimate point of the movie is it's the woman taking the blame. You know, Joel McHale, like, no one's even going, "Hey, you're the one you've done something weird here. You kind of groomed this person, right?" Because she was the babysitter for his kids.
Yeah, I mean, forgetting the fact that he's married with a kid, he's like a 45-year-old man.
And and it's like, no, that's fine. It's her fault. She's the one that's done something wrong.
Yeah, because one of the big themes of the film, and it's in her speech at the end when she's kind of rallying the troops, as it were, is that you built a society that demands that we fill into one of these roles. Either we are the housewife, the slut, the whatever, you know, she lists a couple of things, right? You fill in one of these roles, and then the second that you don't like it, you get mad at us for fulfilling one of those roles.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, yes, this person wants me to be a slut constantly until I'm a slut in a way that they don't like, and then I'm a whore. And then, you know, that's kind of like the thing that it's tackling here, or at least one of the things it's tackling. And it's just this great hypocrisy. And this is where the movie you really feel it. Her parents don't even care that she was I don't know if I'd go as far to say the attack was sexual assault, but it was bordering on it when she's pinned down with the guys. And it's like no one seems to care. And then this guy tries to attack her because by this point everyone knows it's her. And this is what I was talking about when she hits this guy in the face with like a shovel, and his face is bashed in. He's barely alive.
So it looks great, doesn't it?
It does look great, but he's barely alive, and then it just like says, "Oh, it's like 10 days later or whatever it was."
So 1 week later.
It was 1 week later, and I'm like, she's just with her friend. She's staying at M's house, and I'm just like, she's not even acting like she almost killed a man last week.
Yeah. Well, I think the point, when you see outside and what the society has crumbled to in this town, it's like, oh, we got over that 6 days ago.
Yeah, it's mostly, there's some high school kids that are involved, but it's mostly older people. I actually could tell from his voice right away that Joel McHale was like the ringleader, you know, with the balaclava on. The cop is kind of on their side. He's like, yeah, we're taking this town back. Because I think the other big theme of this movie is the establishment versus the youth of the country, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the film is that they seem to survive by, you know, she puts out this kind of like message, you know, giving this speech about how they're preyed upon, they're told to fulfill these roles, and it's like, you screwed this, you asked for this, you made these rules, and now you're trying to like twist them to again so that they only benefit you, and you know all the other school kids come out. In fact, if I have a complaint at all really with the movie and its final message, because I really like it, is maybe that it'd be nice if we got a sense that there was other people who could be good throughout the film. Like, see this big crowd that shows up to like sort of like be behind them at the end.
Yeah, it's like, where were all these?
Like, I don't need to like give them all characters. I don't have to know their names. I don't have to be characters. But I felt like there was no point in this movie where it ever cut to show like a genuine person's reaction to the horrors that were going on, implying that there were people who were horrified by this.
I think it's worth knowing that everyone we see, being awful is, typically an adult male. Mostly.
For the most part, our mother's a big exception to that, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the mob crowd and stuff.
Sure, yeah, okay.
Like, yeah. So it's like, okay, where are all the high school girls? So it's I assume they make up a large bulk of this army.
I think high school kids in general, because the only teenagers who were involved were her boyfriend and a couple of the other jocks that was with him. That was the only confirmed teenagers, I think, in the actual
confirmed
mob.
Yeah. I assume they were more because they were kind of awful at the school. When this all kicked off. With the pinning her down and stuff like that. There was enough that made me assume that they were kind of grouped in with the mob as a whole.
Yeah. I feel like I just wish that when it happened, it was like, yeah, it seeded these people, and I don't think it ever did. Like, I think up until that point, everyone is kind of shitty, and it's just like, okay, now some people have been inspired, and like I like the point that it's making here that it's like, yeah, you can kill a few of us, but you can't actually kill us all. You can't kill the entire youth of the country. So here we are, we're standing, and and we'll get obviously into what most of that second half is, but it really. I just wish that maybe we got a sense of some of these people existing before that scene. Because this is what I was getting back to, though, with the main characters and how they're not really even that likeable. They're sympathetic at points, especially as the movie goes on. But it's not so much that they're good people before bad things happen. It's just that once people start hunting them, it's like, do you know what? As bad as they might have been in some ways, and when I say bad, all I really mean is they're kind of obnoxious teenagers. Yeah, that's all I mean.
But they become sympathetic because they're targeted for something they didn't do.
Yeah, they're hunted, and it's like you're just sitting there going, these kids don't deserve this.
Yeah, it's like, and this is where Salem comes into it. It becomes a literal witch hunt.
It becomes a witch hunt. I mean, even at the start, like the people who have their things leaked, the mayor, the principal, it becomes a witch hunt. It becomes more of a witch hunt later on with the girls, especially.
But that's why Salem.
That's why Salem. Yeah.
But, I mean, sure, it's good a reason as any, right?
So I mean, it's obviously key to the themes of the movie, and like so they're not that likable, but they don't deserve anything. They still have a chance to grow up and be better. They still have everything. Yeah. Like, they don't deserve any of this.
And you're absolutely rooting for them.
You are, yeah, because like they're people are trying to break into the house and kill them. Em's mother, one of the most sensible adults in the film, goes down guns blazing, protecting her daughter.
Yeah, I think this is the point we need to talk about why it becomes a witch hunt for them specifically.
Yes, basically, there's one kid who's questioned early on. This one kid in school,
the town computer guy.
Yes, and he says he supports whoever's doing it, but it's not him. And when the mob starts to become militant and start going after people, they go to him, they start waterboarding him, and he swears that he didn't do it, but he has an idea who might, and he actually blames Lily. He said it's Lily who's done this. Now, as soon as he said he was watching her IP address, I went, it's the brother.
yeah, exactly.
I
went, it's the brother or the dad. It's the only other option. It was one of more like the brother, but it was like, okay, it's one of them.
Yeah. It's the brother, and I was like, oh god. But he says that it was Lily. They spread a video saying that, and it becomes this thing. And
again, to where they're really not subtle. It's like they're going, how can he say he just says this without any proof, and everyone's believing him?
Yeah, no one asked for any shred of evidence. No one. It's kind of.
He literally just says, "Oh, I saw her IP address. It was a lot of data going in and out. It's probably her."
Because you can't fake an IP address.
Yeah, and it's to go back to it being very much a satire against Trump's America. Yeah. There's a point early on where she's trying to look up. She's maybe getting hacked. They're sending her the message, and she checks the IP address, and it comes from Moscow.
Yeah.
Very specifically, it's like, okay, you see, they're just rerouting their IP. Problem solved.
Yeah, I'm honestly shocked at one point someone didn't say something like, but her emails. I'm surprised someone didn't say that at some point.
Yeah.
So
and I've let it slide. That's the worst part. In this movie, it would have been fine.
In this movie, it would have worked because it's so, it's so in the face with the bat and how it.
Yeah. I mean, this movie is the shovel to the face.
Yeah, because the first bit of violence is literally someone. It's one of the girls hitting another girl with a bat because she finds out that she was she'd leaked all of her nudes.
Yeah.
So she goes in front of everyone and hits her with a bat. It's very stylized sequence. It's very well shot. It makes the hyper violence kind of enjoyable, to be honest.
It does.
It makes it tense though, like when the guys are breaking out of the house and like they grab one of them and like have them like gagged so they can't speak.
The sequence where the girl's like, "Oh, can we act it? Can we turn on the alarm, Mom? Did you do it?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm not sure. Go check." And then they go down and it's zone arming, and then he's like, "Oh, there's a problem there, so we can't do it." And they go and check it out, and then the next girl comes down. It's really tense and. It
was making me think of Night Trap. If anyone's ever played Night Trap, the Sega CD FMV game, it was making me think of Night Trap. I also liked how this was filmed. It was all filmed from the outside of the house. It was like going from window to window.
Outside, it was someone looking in.
Yeah.
It really felt like you were with the mob during this.
Yeah. So really, really good stuff. And it all kind of breaks out. They all get kind of split up. Two of them get grabbed. Bex runs off. She gets grabbed by the teenagers to be hanged. From a light post.
She is basically lynched.
Yeah, she's basically lynched. She's transgender, and at the start of the film, she has sex with this guy, who then makes her promise not to tell anyone because she's transgender, and that kind of spirals down the film. But then it comes out that he did, and he's actually one of the only people who have like a face turn in the movie, because at the end he actually saves her. He's not willing to go through with it, and I mean, well, he doesn't save her. He's not willing to kill her.
He surrenders.
Yes, he surrenders, and then the rest of the girls save her, and then there's a kind of an almost sweet moment where Bex thanks him for not killing him, and I actually kind of liked how it cut to the other girls kind of like making faces at each other, like, oh, this is kind of sweet, oddly.
Yeah, I mean, he's down on his knees. They're like, all right, it's up to you whether you want to kill him or not.
You sure that was him?
Is that not him?
That's not him. No, that was the guy who actually surrendered when they were shooting at him. No.
Oh, you're right.
Diamond, this guy, he was just hiding through most of the shootout.
You're right. No. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched this a few days ago.
Yeah. So yeah, and two of them are in the cell. So while this is all going on though, Lily running for her life, scared, and all this stuff is really well shot. It's got a great atmosphere as she's running, and she's just avoiding cars, avoiding headlights, all that kind of thing. She gets to Joel McHale's house and asks for kind of like solace, and he kind of goes along with this for a bit. He's like, no, fine, we'll get you washed up.
We already know at this point.
Yeah.
That it's him. I mean, even if you didn't recognize his voice, it's already revealed to us.
Yeah, and
it was him involved.
He gets very rapey, for lack of a better word, and she starts to fight back. She's kind of stabbed. She plays along a little bit, but then stabs him. And we actually get this really violent death where he's like breaking out of the bathroom to get to her, and he's got his knife. He's going to do it, and she quickly makes a prison
shank.
Yeah, it's like it's a razor blade in the bar of soap. She quickly makes this and then slits his throat, and the blood's just pouring out on her, and it's just it's because she's on top of her when this is happening.
It's glorious.
It's gloriously violent. If you like violence, if you don't like violence in movies, this movie's not for you. Like I'm saying that now.
Yeah, it's really not. I mean, let's be honest, you've probably figured that out by now.
Probably.
If you stuck around for this long.
But it's not for you. But she after this, so he's dead, and she goes downstairs and finds his stockpile of weapons, right? And she's looking at it, and it's like it's time to fight back, basically. So the other two girls who are in the police car with the cop, right? Basically, the one shot I remember from the trailer turned out to be Lily walking out of the smoke. With two swords on her back and guns,
a bandana up over her face.
Yeah, and she's got multiple guns over her shoulder. She's got a shotgun in her hand. I remembered this shot so well, and it felt like a superhero moment with her walking out the smoke.
It did, yeah.
And this is where it goes sort of like she shoots the cop, right, and the cop is dead. So obviously the characters go beyond the point of acceptable reality kind of deeds, but at this point it doesn't matter. You're with them. You're like, nah, fight back. Screw the patriarchy. Do it. And she arms the other two girls, and the three of them come in walking in down the street in line to save Bex, and it becomes this thing. And then we have this ridiculous thing where all four of them are shooting at the guys, and they kill most of them. There's only one who ends up surrendering. But they all get killed. It's just this glorious thing, and this is basically the end of the movie. We cut after this scene. Lily puts out her call to arms. It's I don't know if we're going to survive the night. But all these other high school kids show up to kind of be on their side, and it's like, yeah, you can shoot these four because they're causing chaos now, although it's your fault. But
the message is out there.
The message is out there now, and they're all kind of on their side. So, and the movie,
I think it's a really interesting way how it uses social media at the end, essentially, to
then
motivate a mob, right? In many ways. it's kind of this.
I mean, you can
unique,
call it a mob,
interesting
but I think mob has a negative connotation there.
No, it does. I use that intentionally because that's kind of the subversion. It's like no, it's using the same tool as what caused this.
What I'm saying is I think it's more of a positive message that social media can also be used for good things as equally as bad things.
Yeah.
It just has to be used in the right way. And it got this message out, and they all come up. And I think the overall other theme, going back to the theme of hypocrisy, the idea that all these things that are getting revealed that people don't want anyone to know, it's like some of them shouldn't even be things that anyone cares about. It's like it's embarrassing for your porn history to go out there, but everyone's
it's not the end of the world, is it?
Doing it, yeah. Like whatever, it's embarrassing, but it's not a big deal. Lives will move on. But that's not how people react. It's like, oh no, the principal watches, porn that's like emulating high school. That's weird, right? Because he's a high school teacher. And
yes, because no one does that.
Yeah, no one's ever done that. So it's this kind of this gross thing, and them all kind of fighting back, and it's like, no, we're done with this hypocrisy. We're not taking the blame anymore. We're changing the world, and you're just going to have to deal with it. And it's going to be a bloody brutal fight, but maybe they win, maybe they don't. Because we don't get to see the outcome. I mean, we assume this saved the day, and they survived, but...
Yeah, we don't see too much.
The only thing we get is we do get the confirmation that it was a younger brother who was the...
which,
the hacker.
Again, ties into how it's the women getting blamed. Where, it's her IP. There's at least 4 people that I can think of in that house.
Yeah,
right?
and no one ever even says that there's a thing that I was thinking as soon as it was her IP address, beyond the fact that I assumed it was her brother, was like, she is shown at no time in this film, and presumably her friends have never seen her be this well equipped with a computer. Like, no one ever even says, like, does she have hacking abilities? Does she know how to do that? Because it's not like something anyone can just do. Like, you have to learn to do it. You have to, like, research it.
Doesn't matter. It's just, like I said, there's 4 people in the house. Parents, her, and the brother. And
obviously it's not that she can't, but like there's no indication in the film at all that she has that level of skill. Nothing.
Exactly.
Absolutely nothing.
They all just go, oh, it must be her. There's there's no way it could be the dad or the brother or the mother. It's her.
Yeah, and at the end of the film, we hear the kid's going to probably go to prison for life because what he did ended up getting lots of people killed. And when he's asked why he did it, the final moment of the film, before the credits roll, they say, "Why did you do it?" For the lols, cut to credits.
I almost wanted to hate that line, but it's just so in keeping with the movie.
For what the movie was doing, that is thematically the best thing to end it on. Is the idiot who started all this just doing it because he thought it would be funny? It goes to people who do hack celebrities and stuff like that.
It wasn't for a point. He wasn't trying to make a message or anything like that. Because the guy who they think it was, the other computer guy, has a thing where he supports. Hacking group. Oh my god.
Anonymous.
The name. Anonymous. Thank you. Supports them. It's like, I understand what they're doing. They've got this ideology, and this is like, no. There's not even any pretense of ideology. It's just for the lols.
And again, it comes back to this idea that for everyone who this affected, especially the women and the teenagers, is that this had to become an ideological fight because this is why they were being targeted. But for him, it wasn't even a thought. It was just, this will be funny.
Yeah, it was bored. Something to do.
Yeah. So, no,
I kind of love this movie.
I think I like it more after talking about it, actually.
Because I liked it a lot when I came out of it. And then after another day or so sitting on it, I was like, okay, no, I really like this movie. And now after talking about it, I'm like, no, screw it, I love this movie.
Yeah, but like I say, like, none of the characters are that likeable early on. They're not at all. But when they become victims of what the system is, essentially, it's like, they don't deserve this, and you root for them anyway. It's almost a masterstroke of filmmaking, because in filmmaking, typically what you have to do to make me sympathise with a character is you make them, if not likeable and sympathetic, you make them at least empathetic, right? You give me something to latch on to. And I suppose it's true that there is empathy. Like, once Lily's like crying because she's scared about what's going out. Like, there is moments of that, I suppose.
But that's nearly halfway into the movie.
It is. But it almost does this thing where it's the point of the film is as though it doesn't matter what you think of other people that are around you, everyone deserves not to have this happen to them.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not like, we keep saying, they're not that likable. They're not unlikable. They're just normal teenagers.
Yeah. And
which
for most people's standards,
a little bit unlikable.
For most people's standards, is unlikable.
Yeah, but it's no worse than any regular teenager.
This brings me all the way back round to my analogy with the rocket to the moon, right? This is why I'm saying it was such a fine line, is that this balance of making that point work and making it work in the function of the plot of the movie where they're not that likable, but then you're rooting for them anyway because they don't deserve it.
I think it's kind of important that they're a little bit unlikable.
Yeah, no.
Because it's like, no, you can not like someone and still not think they should go through this shit.
Yes. Exactly.
So you can hate someone and still go, yeah, but they probably don't deserve this.
Yeah. And it's not any of them or again, it's not any of them are bad people. They're just they're teenagers. And they're kind of vapid, and the way they speak to each other and the way they kind of treat each other is all just a little bit shitty. But like, so I mean that element of it's really impressive. Like,
it is. It really is.
So, Assassination Nation's an interesting film. It's a movie film.
Yeah. I'm so glad I got this in. At the end of the year, well, not the year, but for our awards and lists and such. After this, next week, I'll probably watch a handful more movies from 2018 over the year, and that's about it.
Yeah. So that is Assassination Nation. It's a very strong film, and I'm sure. Actually, it's funny because I reviewed Roma with you. I reviewed Eighth Grade on my own. Like, I feel like I've watched a lot of really good like character study things, and I would argue this one isn't a character study. This is more of a society study. But I think I've had a really good slate of movies in the past week or so where they're all films where I'm like, okay, I've analysed it in this one way where this is what I was thinking about as I was watching it, and I'll acknowledge the other things that are there, but I feel like there's multiple things in this movie where someone could go and write a thesis on like how it treats this one thing.
Yeah. This is a movie you could write many essays on.
Yeah. So
we've gone for about 40 minutes here and we've barely scratched the surface, really.
Honestly, yeah. But hey, that's Assassination Nation. So by all means, check it out if you have not. Our awards will already be up. At least the first one will be. Our top 10 might be, it may not be, depending on when this goes up. But Car's actually on vacation next week, so it's actually really nice we got an extra review to put up during that week. That means there's more content to go out.
Yeah. So yeah. Have at it, folks.
Have at it.
Although we need to rate this before we go.
We do have to rate this. What are you giving Assassination Nation?
Do you know? It's half a point higher than it was when we started this review.
Look at that.
I'm giving it a 9.
I am also giving it a 9.
Because I don't. In my own records that had already been filled out, I'd go 8.5. That was real good. And then after talking about it, I'm knocking it up.
I don't think I was at an 8.5 even when I finished watching it. I think when I finished watching it, it was an 8. It was an 8.5 by the time we started recording.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, nah, it's a 9. It's really good. And I think it's one that'll work even better maybe on repeat viewings, because when I've got all the themes in my head right from the start and I know where it's going, I can maybe spot some of the other things they're poking fun at or the other things that they're showing early on.
Yeah, each time you watch it, you can approach it from a different angle.
Yeah. So, no, Assassination Nation. So, yeah, that is the review. That is the discussion. You can, of course, let us know what you thought of the movie in the comments if you've seen it. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can go over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv and you can support us over there for as little as $1 per month. You get these Influx reviews a week early. You get other stuff early. You get bonus stuff. You can go have a look and see what's there. But otherwise, that's us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we will see you next time.